today we are going to uh, press, or I'm going to show you some pressing techniques for lilacs, poached egg, coral bell, campanula, uh, perennial bachelor button, alyssum, and pineapple sage. And I also happen to have them pressed, so I will show you right away what we do, what they look like before they're pressed, and what they look like after they're pressed. And I've got those next to me on the side here, so there will be a little bit of fumbling while I grab the press to show them to you, but this should go hopefully relatively fast. So if this sounds like something you're interested in, then let's get started. The first thing I'm excited about this year, and I have never showed this to you before in any of my videos, is lilac. This lilac I got from my neighbor down the street. I was out walking one day and asked her, could I pick some lilacs when they're in bloom, and she said yes, so yay for that. And I have a kind in my own yard which is called a Korean lilac. And you can see the difference between not only the leaves, this is the regular lilac, but also the Korean lilac, which has single petals, and then you see how they're just single. They got four there. Whereas I call these double petals because they have the four, and then they have another row of four in the back. So I call those doubles because they're also singles. I had a single one year, but as some plants do, it grew smaller till it just kind of went away. So what I do for lilacs is the leaves are relatively explanatory. They're pretty flat, and so I just press them flat down. And then for the big lilacs, because they are pretty thick, I guess you'd say, is I break them down. Oh my, these smell so good. Now, if you want to do something, I don't think, if I remember correctly, because I had pressed these probably 15 years ago, this is just too much bulk. So what I do is I take them down into smaller pieces, and I actually do that so that when I roll the book over, you hear me rolling the book over, you'll see them when they're pressed in a minute, they'll lay flat. Also, these you can take when they're open, and you can cut the flower off the back, and you can press them open face. Now what I do when I press them open face is I typically lay them down this way before I put them in the book. So that's pretty much what I do with lilac. I just disassemble them. Sometimes I'll leave three, sometimes I'll do a single. It just depends on how they come off the bush. And then here's some buds. You know, I could take and do the whole cluster. I would probably, if I was doing this cluster, remove a couple of buds because you don't need them. I would press them separately. I'd probably take that one off and press it separately. And that's probably what I'd be left with when I pressed it. Now, because I'm actually not going to press this whole cluster now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to split the stem a little bit, same here, and I'm going to put it in some water. So please allow me to, because I'm not going to edit this, it's going to be live. I've got a thing of water down here that I'm just putting this into to keep them fresh until I'm ready to press, because I don't want them to go bad in the meantime. Now for the Korean lilac, same thing. I'll press the leaves separate, and then I generally take these little clusters and I will press them separate. And then I really haven't done these open face flowers, but I suppose I should try it, because that would give you a real tiny flower to work with. And so here's some that are more full open. So that's basically what I do with lilac. And I've got a whole bunch of lilacs out there. My camera's looking laggy. Hopefully it's not going to come across that way on video. I have a whole bunch of lilacs out there, so I will actually go get some more when I'm ready to press. Now let me show you what they look like. Here's the Korean lilac. And you can see, bring it up to the camera a little bit closer. See how pretty those are? And they hold their color really well. They'll hold their color decently, I don't know, for a pretty good time. As I've heard me say before, you don't ever want to leave pressed flowers in sunlight. Sunlight, just like with fine art paintings and things like that, you don't want to leave them in sunlight. You want to always be cognizant of that. This is the regular lilac. I've got them all upside down, but you get the idea. Now see the ones that I did open-faced? How those turned out? They pressed really good. They held their color, and they will hold their color for a while. Both of these items are easy to color enhance. They take color enhancing easily. If you wanted to tint them, if you were going to do a picture that you want to put on your wall or do something that was going to be around for a long time, as opposed to, say, just a card or something where you don't really care. But again, these color keep on their own for a reasonable time. And again, I just have more lilac here, so I won't show you them all. But you can see how they turn out. The next thing we're going to talk about is campanula and coral bell. So there's a lot of different kinds of coral bell out there, but the ones that are blooming for me right now is this variety. And they're beautiful, hold their color good. And sometimes I will press the whole spike, but most of the time I will just press like that. So they're simple to press. That's what I do. What was the other one we were going to do right now? Campanula. Campanula. This is what campanula looks like. And generally they have these three things. A lot of times I will press them with the whole botanical, because there's nothing really too bulky here that won't press. Or I will take it off the stem, press it that way. And they're profile plants. A lot of times when I've got buds, I will tease the buds like that. But that's basically how that goes. So let me show you what those look like pressed. Here's the campanula sheet. Oh, these are upside down. I put my tags upside down. I have to change them. Let's see here. And what I really like about the campanula is, I'll bring it up closer to the camera, here's the coral bell, is if you look closely, see how the veining, this veining in here? Oh, I just think that is wonderful. And then here's the leaves from the campanula. And a frequently asked question that I get, because these are actually white out of the garden, as you can see. See here. Although this one, well, I mean, they did go cream. They're not quite as white. But I do get asked a lot, and I'm going to do a video about this one of these days. So if you're interested, subscribe or check my channel once in a while. But I get asked a lot about color enhancing whites. And when I get some more whites together, I will do a video. I have a couple of things that I use, but right off the bat, if you want to give it a try, you can try alcohol ink and see if that works. And I also use a tulip, it's called tulip fabric spray, that has a white. Here, I'll show you the packaging, so you don't have to wait for that video if you want to experiment. But it's the white that's in here. And I don't use it as a spray. These tops, spray tops come off. It's just a bottle with a spray top. So just like my other paints that you see me use, it's basically just this with a spray top on it. And so what I do is I take the spray top out and dip my brush in. That's all I do. But I've been, this is this neon? Yeah, this is the neon. Excuse me for bumping the camera. I actually have the regular and the neon. So these are backups. I love this stuff. So I only have one neon, but the other one is a backup to the ones that I'm using now that are somewhere else. Okay, that was a little off topic there, but the point being that yes, there are some things that you can use to color enhance white, and those are the two things that I use that I've had success with. And then this is just more coral bells. Next up is buttercup. Oh, I didn't bring any buttercup in. Well, I think most of you, because if you've watched my videos before, I've shown you how I press buttercup, so I will just show you the results, and I think you'll know. But there's buttercup. And this batch I did open face, but I also will press them in profile, which today when I press some more, I'll do some in profile. These I only did open face. Then what do we have next? Pineapple sage, verbena, perennial bachelor button. Here's perennial bachelor button. So it comes back every year. And then I didn't bring in any verbena, but again, I think a lot of you know what verbena looks like. Pineapple sage. It's a perennial. It comes back. It's kind of strange. Smells like pineapple. Oh, between the lilac and the pineapple sage, but there's a sticky. It's very sticky. And generally I'll either press them like this, or I will pick the individual flowers off and then I'll do the top separate. So on this sheet we have, this is going to be hard to lift, pineapple sage is over on the right, some upside down violas. There's the verbena, and then there is the perennial bachelor button on the lower left. And then on this upper right is a primrose. And I think I might have showed that in the last video. So that's what's on this sheet. And then last in this video, to wrap it up, is Alyssum and the poached eggplant. So that is, here's the poached eggplant. And the Alyssum, again, common garden flower in the garden center. This is an annual, generally speaking, although sometimes it'll reseed and I'll get volunteers, and once in a great while they will overwinter because I live in a mild marine climate. And so what I'll do for them, you can press the whole cluster because they're not too thick, or I will dismantle them into pieces and place it. Or if this one's in really good shape, but sometimes the lower flowers will be spent and all shriveled up, and when that happens, I will actually strip the stem, and then I will, press it like that. And on the poached eggplant, again, these aren't too thick. You can do a whole segment in profile, or clip up underneath. Get my scissors for the ones that are really open, and just clip it off. And I typically press it flat. things like buttercup and poached egg and a lot of other plants will be open during the day, but in the late afternoon or early mornings, they won't be open. They won't be fully open, so you'll have to sometimes wait for the right time of the day to press them. And here's what they look like. These are that's the back side of the poached egg. The poached egg plant, the alyssum, these all hold their color really well. Here's a couple of forget-me-nots. Oh, here's a white alyssum. And I actually even did some of these purple alyssums as a open face because they were nice. They were pretty big alyssums, and so I cut them off the back on the stem and just pressed them as an open face flower. Here's a pressed. I don't color enhance or even worry about color enhancing. The reason why I'm talking about color enhancing is because I have a color enhance playlist and some people are interested in the subject. And the reason I don't color enhance these, besides the fact that they're sheer like tissue paper, is although I might sometimes try the leaves, but they're kind of waxy, so they don't take regular anything with much water in it. But they hold their color forever. The white, the green. This is actually the back side. The yellow just it just has staying power. And then the white really doesn't do too much. I mean, it might grow a little bit creamy, but no, they pretty much are just like that. But see how sheer they are? See how you can see the I was going to bring this up to the camera, but you can see how you can see the leaf through there. That's how sheer they are. They're very sheer. And there's some more bits on there. All right, so that's all that I'm going to share in this segment. I'm going to be doing another segment with a different batch of flowers, but a lot of people don't really like the long videos, so I'm trying to shorten them down a little bit. So if you're interested in seeing, what am I going to do next? I'm going to do Azalea, Bleeding Heart, Grace Ward, Columbine, Ajuga, Osteospermum, and Yellow Alyssum. So if that's something you're interested in, then that should be coming out over the next few days. So thank you very much for tuning in, subscribing. I appreciate everybody who watches, and you have a wonderful day.